The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of BYU and Utah football and the expanded Big 12 Conference. Subscribe to the First and 12 podcast. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL NewsRadio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. First and 12 right here on KSL NewsRadio. Alex Kirry, Mitch Harper, thanks for being with us. Yes, coming up in just about 20 minutes, top of the hour-ish, you're going to get BYU football with head coach Kalani Sitake. So that's all coming up. Part of it, that's going to wrap up our full football Tuesdays here. And, of course, you can hear Mitch every day on Cougar Tracks from 6:30 to 7. JJ, Jeremiah Jensen, and myself, JJ, of course, of KSL 5 television fame. And I host JJ and Alex every day on the KSL Sports Zone over on our sibling station, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Mitch, let's jump in right here because it's that time of the week for us to look ahead at what the schedule looks like across the Big 12 coming up this weekend.
The week ahead. Matchups that have us the most excited about the week to come in the Big 12.
I'm really excited for this one. The Sunflower Showdown, one of the protected rivalries in the Big 12. Kansas State at Kansas, 10 a.m. on TNT. Whoever loses this game, that fan base is going into meltdown mode. Keep in mind, Alex, Kansas State, they've won 16 consecutive games against Kansas. So if K-State really wants to avoid having this season become an absolute disaster, you've got to beat Kansas, or else they're going to be irate at the idea of losing to the Jayhawks.
Hey, listen, everybody, we got to protect some rivalries. What are the most important ones over here? Well, Kansas hasn't beaten Kansas State in 16 years. Perfect. That sounds like a great one.
I know Farmageddon doesn't get protected, but this one does.
This one does. Yeah, because they have the words Kansas in their in the names of the schools. I get it. I don't know. I mean, the reality is from the outside looking in, these are two teams who have underperformed massively. Yeah, so when you bill it like, yeah, whoever loses, this one's a real loser, like that's never a good way to look at it. But at the same time, they're going to be playing at 10 a.m. on TNT, so we'll see how that one rolls out. But these were two teams that we thought were going to be competing, certainly Kansas State at the top of the Big 12, and it ended up not being that way so far. So number 11, BYU goes to Iowa State. That's a 1:30 kickoff on Fox. That's a big one, of course, going to Ames and trying to get this one done. Mitch, how good is Iowa State? I don't know because I believe a lot in Matt Campbell. All the stuff that's said, the flowery praise that Matt Campbell gets, sometimes when Kalani Sitake heaps praise on these coaches across all the league, I'm always like, okay, not every one of them is your best friend. But I think Matt Campbell is an exceptional coach. He's done stuff with Iowa State that program has just never seen before.
Well, do we think that he's a real candidate for Penn State? Could he be distracted potentially?
Ooh.
No, we'll see. But no, I think this Iowa State team has been a mixed bag like many teams in the Big 12. I think that what's been surprising is that they've regressed a little bit in recent weeks on the defensive side. And, that 3-3-5 scheme for Iowa State has been so successful in this Big 12 conference. And 2 years ago when BYU played Iowa State, the Cyclones thumped BYU 45-13 with a lot of the same personnel they still have today with Rocco Becht, Abu Sama in that backfield. And that was a real turning point moment for, I think, both programs. Iowa State kind of leveled up, and BYU realized this is rock bottom. They got to bounce back and be more competitive in this conference. And no, I think this is going to be a really good test. It's interesting to see that BYU's kind of viewed as an underdog in this one, and what a great opportunity for BYU to play up the underdog role once again on the heels of what's been a very strong start to the season at 7-0. You can't get any better than that, and to still not be believed in. I think it's a good matchup. I think BYU's the better team though in this game, and Iowa State has shown moments over the course of this season where they've struggled. So I think if BYU can continue to have success on the ground, I think it could be a very good day for BYU on Saturday.
We'll see. That's one that obviously the gauntlet of the road schedule for the rest of the way for BYU, going to Ames, going to Lubbock, going to Cincinnati. Now that looks like a tougher out than you had initially thought. Is it's going to be a rough one. I mean, honestly, now between let's see here. They've got Iowa State, then they've got bye week, then they've got Texas Tech, and then they host TCU, and then on to Cincinnati, right? And then they lock things out hosting UCF at home. Those 5 games right there that I just mentioned before the last one against UCF where you're hosting, honestly, like going 3-2 in that stretch feels like that would be really, really good. But obviously now where the team's at, if you want to be at the top of the mountain where they want to be, you can only afford to lose one of those games. And that's a really tall ask, I think, with a lot of really, really good teams in front of them. Oklahoma State goes to Texas Tech, speaking of. That's an easy out, I think, for Texas Tech, who are going to want to right the ship. And poor Oklahoma State is going to have to be at the end of the other end of Joey Maguire's ire, man.
The bigger story, I think, in that one is going to be if anyone throws tortillas or not. That's going to be, to me, the story in that game because Texas Tech should absolutely have a bounce-back opportunity against the Pokes. Baylor at number 21, Cincinnati, 2 p.m. on ESPN2. It's a classic Big 12 game where, very close on the margins, but Cincinnati is, playing excellent football right now, 4-0 in Big 12 play, and they've been really good at home. I think that's been one of the impressive things. It feels like they haven't left Nippert in weeks outside of its, one stop in Stillwater. They've capitalized at home, and they're a tough team to take down in their home spot.
Do you feel like that's one of those games that we're going to be that? I mean, there's a head scratcher every week. I text you about a game that is absolutely wild every week, right? And this is one of those games you're like, Baylor winning 42-14? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all, right?
At what point does Brett Yormark start to, hit his fist on the table and go, stop losing these games when you're undefeated? At what point does he start cheering for a team? I know that he's going to be diplomatic and say, I want everyone to have success, but at some point you're like, BYU, Cincinnati, please string it together and do not get upset.
I'm sick of doing these speeches before Big 12 Media Days for football where I go, the most parity of all the conferences across the country. He has to say that every year, every time they get close to when everybody's beating each other up at the conference. He just has to scratch out all of his notes and go, yeah, we don't have a superpower yet. The most parity across college football for the 3rd year in a row. Yeah, TCU goes to West Virginia. The Horned Frogs going out to visit the folks out there at Rich Rod to see what happens with that one. Houston goes to Arizona State. That's a matchup that on paper is very, very good. I think Arizona State, if Jordan Tyson's okay, if Sam Levitt is 100% again, then I think you're going to see Arizona State start to string together some really, really nice wins. Other than that, you've got Houston who goes, well, you know what? This is our first real test. We can show our first real test on the road. We can show everybody else that we're not fake right now, and so they could try to figure that out as well. And then Colorado goes to Utah. Are we still calling that one the Rocky Mountain Cup or the Rocky Mountain Oyster Cup or whatever it is that we're playing
Rumble
for
in
now?
the Rockies.
Oh, boy.
The Rumble in the Rockies. Don't you forget it.
I don't believe it for 1 second.
Weeks with rivalries for the Utes.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they were thinking too. I'm sure that's what they put out in their press release this week. Well, it's another big rivalry game for us. I mean, obviously it means a lot to us.
Hey, there was a time when Whittingham was saying, "Well, who's our rival?" Oh, you're talking about the in-state rivalry.
Oh. Some other teams.
Remember that a couple years ago?
Oh yeah, that was his version of. You'd have to ask them about Bear. Yeah, that was. There's always one little moment where people look at Kyle Whittingham and go, "Are you sure you're okay? You sure you're okay over there? Everything okay? Everything good? You in a good spot mentally?" We'll never know. By the way, I was going to ask you too because I tweeted it out when he was very flowery and he actually used the words flowers. I'm going to give him his flowers for being a great coach and a mentor and all that. Is there a moment in that speech that you thought to yourself, is he saying this because he knows something that we don't about Kyle Whittingham?
That was 100% my thought, Alex. I truly thought that, when Kalani was giving those flowers, as you said, as Kalani put it, about Kyle Whittingham, and, Kalani's very close to Whittingham and Morgan Scalley. You almost wondered if he knows that Witt's going through his last year because we know that Kalani always does, great team, great fans.
I really respect
love their
those
coach.
guys.
He does that all the time. But that situation with Whittingham was much different than anything Kalani has ever done in this BYU-Utah game. And it did have that feeling of, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
Does he know? So, I was totally on board with you on that because I thought the exact same thing. It did really feel like maybe does he know something and he just wanted to say, hey, I really respect Kyle Whittingham for everything that he's done for me.
Hey, Coach Whittingham on the other side of the stadium. Hey, Coach Whittingham. Coach Satake went on for about 4 minutes about how amazing you are. Do you want to say anything? He's like, nope. I'm not in the mood. Ask me at the end of the year. All right, we're going to take another break right here. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up on our 1st and 12 for this week with some predictions. Why not? Throw some predictions out there as to how these games are going to turn out. We've been dead wrong all year long. Why would that change now? Stay with us right here. It's 1st and 12 right here on KSL News Radio.